Even before the legislature in special session today, Thursday, debated a bill that would up the minimum wage paid to government employees, Governor Albert Bryan Jr. signaled that any such legislation would be vetoed if and when it reaches his desk for signing. Last week, Senator Kurt Viele announced as his last major legislative effort a measure that would move government workers from a minimum of $13 to $15 per hour, bumping their annual salary up to $32,000 from just over $27,000. The measure, Viele said, was meant to tackle inflation and cost of living increases, which are putting major pressure on the lowest paid rung of government workers. Quote, "A lot of these employees, for them, it's having the ability to survive when everything is on the rise," the senator said. However, on Wednesday, Governor Bryan said that despite the tough times, he preferred to allow the outcomes of union negotiations to affect the salary of the people those unions represent. Bryan argued, quote, "We negotiate with the unions to raise the salaries all the time. We should not be usurping the process by doing this because it's a domino effect." Bryan also highlighted the roughly $40 million that was expended this year as part of the government's efforts to repay the 8% cut in government employees' salaries that was passed by the legislature during the administration of former Governor John DeYoung. Additionally, Bryan argued that there was no wiggle room in the 2023 budget recently approved by the Committee on Finance, which Senator Viele chairs, to accommodate the extra $4.5 million the proposed pay bump would cost central government. Bryan called the legislative efforts of his defeated gubernatorial opponent disgraceful, especially as it comes after the government spending for the upcoming year was already approved. Bryan accused Viele of trying to derail the government's finances. Quote, "All he is seeking to do is put a spoke in our wheel for the next year because he knows we already have a tight budget coming up. This is a way of dismantling," the governor said. Despite his optimistic pronouncements on the territory's prospects for 2023 during a Public Finance Authority meeting 2 weeks ago, the governor is now expressing uncertainty about the government's financial standing in the face of a looming global recession. Quote, "I'm nervous going into next year," Bryan told consortium journalists on Wednesday, noting that the U.S. Federal Reserve continues to raise interest rates while the American economy slows down. Quote, "There's going to be an impact." Even if Senator Vile's proposal does make it through the legislature, it is likely to die following Governor Bryan's intended veto. This is because following Thursday's Senate session, there will be no more meetings of the 34th legislature before it is dissolved and the territory's 35th legislature is sworn in early January.